Hey everyone, it's Austin Solomon, the Solomon Group at Coldwell Banker. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Real. Today, sometimes I get asked this question. We've seen a little bit of change over the last year or two on this, and that's personal letters to sellers. So in the past, a buyer, if they're interested in purchasing, if they're looking to buy a house, right, there's a couple offers, maybe the buyer would write a letter to the seller, and that would kind of be a pretty common practice. Where buyers would probably detail, hey, this is kind of, this is who we are. This is what we really like about the house. This is a little bit about us. We hope that you take our offer. And they would detail that in a letter. It would get attached to the offer. And then the seller would kind of read that as part of the offer. Over the last year or so, there has been a little bit of, we as agents, we've been encouraged not to write as many of these letters. And the reason why is because most of the time when a buyer writes a letter, they'll include maybe too much information about themselves, and such as race, gender, religion, and some of the other protected classes, familial status, all these different things, they'll include that. And the issue has been in other states, I don't think necessarily Wisconsin, but in other states, there's been, of course, some lawsuits that have happened where a buyer writes a letter to the seller and the seller didn't select that offer, and the buyer sued because they didn't get the house, and therefore it must have been because of something in their letter. So it actually kind of opened up some sellers to liability because they, it creates kind of a interesting scenario. So some sellers are like, hey, I don't want to really deal with that, right? I want to just select the best offer. I don't need any extra information or any extra liability. Therefore, I don't want any letters. So, I think so. That's kind of been the push, has been, hey, there shouldn't really be letters, and if there are, they certainly should be written in a way that none of those things are addressed, right? So if a letter is written, it'd probably be very basic to say, hey, this is why we like your house, right? We fully intend to make the process as easy as possible for you. And we hope you give our offer strong consideration, right? Just a very basic kind of letter, maybe okay. But again, when it comes to, writing a letter that has a lot of information about the buyers and stuff, it's kind of, it's looked down on, which has changed. That has been a big change over the last couple of years. So if you're a buyer, right, and you're working with an agent, you have to be very cautious. I would recommend consulting with your agent on that, right, and kind of talking that through. So hope this is helpful. Just kind of wanted to shed some light on letters to the seller.